Most people will doubt you, but the real tragedy is you might start believing them. Not all at once, not in a big dramatic moment, but slowly, quietly, you'll shrink your dreams down to make them easier to explain. You'll lower your standards just to make others comfortable. You'll stop chasing what sets your soul on fire because they told you to be realistic. And you won't even notice it until one day you wake up and realize you've been living a version of someone else's life, a quieter life, a smaller life, a safer life, one built not on belief but on fear disguised as logic. Because doubt doesn't scream, it whispers. It drips into your mind day by day until it poisons the root of everything you were meant to become. And that's where most people get stuck. Not because they aren't capable, not because they're not talented, but because they traded belief for permission, and they never got it. Here's the truth. You will never be fully supported in the beginning. Not by your friends, not by your family, not by the people who say they love you, because your growth will challenge the part of them that refuses to grow. And people don't doubt you because of who you are. They doubt you because of what your courage reminds them they're not doing. But here's the thing. You don't need them to believe. You need you to believe fully, wildly, irrationally. Because belief isn't something you wait for. Belief is something you build, day by day, rep by rep, decision by decision. Belief is built when you keep going after the rejection. Belief is built when you show up even when you don't feel like it. Belief is built when you trust the vision no one else can see because it was only ever meant for you. You must believe before the breakthrough, before the proof, before the applause, before the world understands. Because if you wait for belief to be easy, you'll wait forever. Look around. Every name you admire, every person who changed the game, they were doubted first. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Edison was told he was wasting his life chasing artificial light. Imagine if they listened. Imagine if they paused to please the doubters. They didn't. They believed anyway. They acted anyway. They endured the mockery, the failure, the loneliness, because their vision wasn't up for debate, and yours shouldn't be either. Stop explaining. Stop negotiating. Stop hoping to be understood. You don't need everyone to get it. You need to get yourself. You need to remember that belief is the seed, and results are just the fruit. And every time you choose belief, you water that seed. Even in the drought, even when it's dark, even when there's no sign of growth. Because belief, real belief, isn't a feeling. It's a decision. And decisions become identity. And identity shapes reality. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest who you are. So who are you right now? Are you the version of yourself who surrenders at the first sign of resistance? Or are you the version who rises, sharpens, adapts, and keeps going? Because the truth is this. The doubters are always loudest before the transformation. They'll question your habits. They'll roll their eyes at your discipline. They'll mock your new goals like it's a phase until the results make them uncomfortable, until the life you built makes them regret the life they didn't. And when that day comes, don't you dare gloat. Don't you seek validation. Just smile, because you didn't need to be believed. You needed to believe. You needed to trust that you were worthy before the world confirmed it. You needed to back yourself before anyone else was willing to. You needed to walk through the fire of doubt and come out flame-proof, because that's the kind of belief that changes everything. The kind that doesn't waver when the room goes quiet. The kind that doesn't shrink when the plan falls apart. The kind that doesn't need evidence, just purpose. And if you can find that kind of belief, if you can build it, protect it, fight for it, you will become unstoppable. Not overnight, not without struggle, but inevitably. And the people who once doubted you, they'll ask you how you did it, and you'll look them in the eyes and say, I believed When no one else did, I believed. The greatest enemy of belief isn't fear. It's noise, the constant opinion, the constant comparisons, the voices of people who quit on themselves trying to convince you to do the same. You must learn to quiet the outside so you can finally hear the inside. Because the voice inside you, the one that whispers more, that tells you you were born for something greater, that won't let you settle, that refuses to die, that voice is sacred. And you've ignored it for too long. You've let the world get louder than your soul. You've let failure shout louder than your future. You've let temporary setbacks convince you that permanent dreams are no longer worth chasing. But hear me. Belief doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you don't obey it. Belief is staring your past in the face and saying, "You will not define me." It's waking up after being knocked down and saying, "This isn't where my story ends." It's showing up when everything in you wants to run. It's fighting for your vision like your life depends on it, because it does. And when you do this long enough, when you keep believing when others stop, you start to change. Your walk changes. Your words change. Your energy becomes undeniable. Because belief isn't just internal. It becomes a frequency you carry. It becomes a weight in the room. It becomes the difference between someone who's trying and someone who's decided. You don't need to say it. You become it. And when you become it, doors open, paths appear. People notice. Not because you got lucky, but because you aligned. The world doesn't respond to your hopes. It responds to your identity. And identity is built through repetition, through showing up again and again, especially when it's hard. That's how confidence is born. That's how belief becomes who you are, not just what you feel. Because belief is a muscle. And every time you honor your word, you train it. Every time you follow through, you strengthen it. Every time you ignore the noise and move anyway, you grow it. And over time, something shifts. The things that used to scare you, you run toward them. The things that once overwhelmed you, you master them. The people who once doubted you, you forget their names. Because you're no longer building to prove. You're building because it's who you are. Belief stops being something you do and starts being the foundation of everything you touch. But it only happens when you go all in. Half belief won't get you there. Half effort won't build the life you see when you close your eyes at night. You need to move like it's already yours. You need to show up like you were born for it. You need to speak, act, live like the future is already unfolding, because your energy will make it so. Most people wait until they feel confident. Winners move while they still feel doubt. Most people wait for external validation. Winners validate themselves with action. Most people live at 50%. You weren't made for 50%. You were made for obsession, for fire, for devotion to a life that only makes sense to the version of you that believes without compromise. And yes, it will be lonely at times, because most people won't understand. They'll tell you to slow down, to relax, to be realistic. They'll mock your intensity because it highlights their own indifference. They'll question your ambition because it threatens their comfort. But don't let their fear become your ceiling. Don't let their doubts become your doctrine. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be unforgettable. And belief, real belief, is the beginning of everything unforgettable. Discipline is the physical expression of belief. Anyone can say they believe. But belief without discipline is just noise, a promise made in comfort and broken in silence. If you truly believe in your future, you don't wait for the perfect moment. You create one. You move through discomfort. You act when it's inconvenient. You show up when no one's clapping, because every action you take is either building belief or burying it. Discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. It's not what holds you back. It's what releases you from the chains of mediocrity. You don't get to keep doubting yourself and expect to live a life of power. You don't get to skip the early mornings, the late nights, the repetition, and still expect transformation. You don't get the reward without the ritual. If you want the outcome, fall in love with the process. Let your daily habits speak louder than your doubts. Let your standards crush your excuses. Let your commitment become the evidence your mind has been begging for. Because belief isn't blind. It sees every obstacle, feels every ounce of fear, and still says, we're doing this anyway. There's no such thing as the right time. There is only now. There is only today. There is only this breath, this heartbeat, this moment where you get to decide, will I build my belief with action, or will I sit and wait, hoping confidence appears like magic? Because it won't. Confidence is earned. Clarity is earned. Momentum is earned. You earn it every time you get up when you'd rather stay down. You earn it every time you stay focused when everything around you is screaming for your attention. You earn it when you take one more step, and then another, even when the path disappears beneath your feet. This is how legends are made. Not in public, but in private. Not with applause, but in silence. Not by luck, but by relentless alignment. You cannot live a misaligned life and expect to feel whole. You cannot walk in one direction while believing in another. You must align your thoughts with your words with your actions with your identity. When everything inside you moves as one, you become unstoppable. That's when belief transforms from a thought into a force. That's when your energy starts doing the heavy lifting. That's when you stop chasing and start attracting. Not because life got easier, but because you got louder without saying a word. Because belief built discipline, and discipline built momentum, and momentum built confidence. And confidence built a new you, a version of you who no longer folds, a version who no longer asks for permission, a version who no longer tiptoes around their greatness just to make others feel comfortable. And that version didn't show up overnight. They were forged in the fire of doubt, forged in the decision to keep showing up long after motivation disappeared, forged in the refusal to let temporary circumstances decide a permanent identity. That version of you is built through adaptation, because growth isn't linear, it's messy. You'll fail, you'll fall, you'll get blindsided by storms you never saw coming. But that's not the end, that's the invitation. Life will never stop testing you. But when you're rooted in belief, real belief, those tests become tools. The fire doesn't burn you, it forges you. You don't shrink under pressure, you sharpen. You don't panic in the storm, you anchor. You don't quit when it gets dark, you become the light. Because belief isn't fragile. It bends, it bleeds, but it doesn't break. And the deeper your belief, the less external confirmation you'll need. You'll stop needing them to clap. You'll stop needing them to understand. You'll stop needing the outcome to feel worthy. Because your worth won't be based on what you've done. It'll be built on who you've become through what you did. And once you know who you are, they can doubt all they want. They can laugh. They can dismiss. They can try to dim what they never dared to build. But it won't matter anymore. Because when you believe like this, truly, completely, relentlessly, nothing can stop you. Because when belief becomes who you are, you no longer chase your future. You pull it into the present. You walk into rooms differently. You speak without needing to convince. You move with a quiet power that silences every doubter without saying a word. Not because you're arrogant, because you're aligned. You know who you are. You know what you came to do. And you know that no amount of outside noise can drown out the roar of someone who believes without hesitation. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand. Let them mock the dream they were too afraid to chase. While they sit in circles of comfort, you'll be climbing. While they scroll, compare, and complain, you'll be building. While they wait to be chosen, you'll be becoming. You're not here to be liked. You're not here to fit in. You're not here to live a life that makes sense to people who never had the courage to chase more. You're here to wake up every morning and choose belief again. When it's hard, when it's lonely, when the results are slow, when no one understands. You're here to believe with your hands, not just your heart. To build with your back, not just your brain. To rise with your soul, not just your strategy. Because this life, the one that's been calling you, burning inside you, it's not built on talent. It's built on fire, on focus, on faith. The kind of faith that moves before the miracle. The kind of belief that acts like the vision is real because in your world it already is. So make the decision, not tomorrow. Now, to stop waiting for someone to tell you it's time. To stop hiding behind distractions, doubts, and delays. To stop being the one thing in your own way. Make the decision to believe so boldly, so deeply, so relentlessly that the world either joins you or moves out of your path. Because most will doubt you. Let them. You've got building to do. You've got a legacy to write. You've got a fire to feed and a future to unlock. And none of that will happen if you keep letting their doubts drown your discipline. So silence the noise. Sharpen the vision. Own the mission. And if this spoke to you, if it lit something in your soul that you've been trying to ignore, subscribe. Not just to this channel. Subscribe to your next level. Subscribe to a new standard. Subscribe to a life that doesn't ask for permission or validation, but moves, builds, and becomes anyway. Turn on the notifications. Keep coming back. Keep feeding your fire, because the world will doubt you until the day it can't ignore you. And when that day comes, you'll already know it was belief that got you here, and belief that will carry you the rest of the way.